All right, for years, conversations about Malaysia's property market have circled around one theme: resilience. Surviving shocks, navigating uncertainty, and slowly rebuilding confidence. But as we step into 2026, something feels different. The market isn't just holding the line anymore, it's beginning to redefine what healthy, sustainable growth should look like. Buyers are more discerning, developers are rethinking old playbooks, and policymakers are signaling that long-term stability matters more than headline numbers. The question now is, has the market finally turned the corner from recovery to sustainability? And if so, what pressures and blind spots still remain beneath the surface? To unpack all this, joining me right now is Surveyor Sulaiman Sahih, Director of Research and Consultancy Services at Rahim & Co. International, Sudan Berhad. Sulaiman, thank you for being with us today. First of all, over the last few years, the Malaysian property market has proven it can be resilient. As we begin 2026, what tells you that the conversation is now shifting from survival and recovery to sustainability and long-term health? And what are the early warning signs that resilience alone is no longer enough?
Thank you for having us. Just to share with you how the market has actually performed in the past 10 years, if you like. Where after going through the economic cycle and the down cycle that we've seen before COVID, and then we had to actually go through the round of surviving through COVID. That's where the market has actually been tested. And after COVID, we've seen that the market has actually rebounded in 2022, especially. And that growth is actually a sign of the strong fundamentals and the demand that's still there amongst the Malaysian economy. From that point, the growth in 2022 was superb. Come to 2023, it's still growing, and 2024, it actually grew a bit more. But in 2025, the market was actually more moderate. But we can see there's a new trend in terms of differentiation between regions, between product classes, asset classes, where the total volume of transactions in 2025 actually slowed down a little bit by 2%. But the total value of those buildings, of those properties that are being transacted, has actually increased, which actually signifies that there's a shift between just buying properties across the board. People are more selective, people are more discerning, and looking at the assets that can give them the best value and the greatest returns for their use, for their economic benefits. And we see here in terms of how it has been shifting from performing in a resilient manner to becoming more sustainable, where the number of units that are actually being sold, that are actually performing, are the ones that are relevant, the ones that are actually serving the actual needs of the community or the buyers or the tenants. And this is where the new trends and new demands and new focus, be it from an individual basis or even the corporate basis, things like ESG, things like the environmental consciousness, energy efficiency, are all becoming more mainstream in forming the new demand trends in the market.
Yeah, Sulaiman, we've moved past chasing volume at all costs. In 2026, how should the industry judge success? Maybe like in terms of fewer transactions of higher quality or broader participation, even if margins are thinner. Is the market mature enough to prioritize quality over scale?
The market has actually grown. The market has actually grown, and the maturity level between the markets in Malaysia, because we have a lot of a huge diversity between cities in the country and or even within regions within the country. So the maturity level is different. We can see that in urban centers like Klang Valley, in Penang, in Johor, even in certain East Coast towns, or even in East Malaysia towns, the market over there are actually more conscious and are looking at better quality products, be it for their investment or for their own occupation. Whether the market is actually strong enough to actually absorb all this, it is a gradual trend, it is a steady trend, and it will come to fruition. It will come to become a real capacity building for an economy or for a community. The numbers game that was seen in the past, although it does contribute to the bottom line of an organization for sure. But now we look at developers or even communities that are actually being built are no longer looking at quick performance or immediate performance within the shorter term. We see even for developers, when they actually do phase one, it's selling very well. But if the community is not being built, the product is not fitting to the needs of the community, people wouldn't come in, and the community is not built, and therefore subsequent sales and the longevity of the whole community or the development is actually at risk. And this is where the focus shifting to these angles would actually be appreciated more coming into the future.
Uh, Owner occupiers are frequently described as the stabilizing force of the market. In 2026, how important are they in sustaining prices and also absorption, especially in a more selective lending environment? And where does excessive investor activity start to undermine long-term sustainability?
Owner-occupiers are generally people who actually buy the property and they actually occupy the premises. They actually stay there for their own occupation, or they actually use it for their second home or for their other purposes. These communities or these people who actually are the owner, who actually buy the property and actually stay there, are the ones that create the fabric and the character of the neighborhood. This is where owner-occupier would actually be the important drivers for the growth of a society or a community or a development. That's one. But another thing is the bulk of the Malaysians, of the Malaysian market, are actually still within the M40 group and P40 group. This is actually, if we look into the total transactions of residential properties in the country, more than 3/4 of the total units that are being transacted are priced below 500,000. But we can see also at the same time, there's growth in the upper bracket units. This is actually where the discerning community and more quality-driven products are actually making headlines. But looking at how the overall owner-occupier market, local Malaysian market especially, who are actually forming the bulk of the units, these are the ones who are providing better security, better surety in terms of actual ownership, even contributing towards the loans market or the financing market. This is where it has to be jiving between the ease of getting loans and for people to make purchases and the actual use of those purchases, so that the bankers know that these premises are actually being used for a purpose that's sustainable. It's actually being in use. And from there, they can actually make loan repayments from their income growth and whatnot.
Yeah. Sulaiman, in 2 or 3 minutes of our discussion, my last question, as Malaysians look at property decisions in 2026, what mindset shift is most needed to ensure we build a sustainable market, not just a resilient one? And what should we stop doing as an industry if sustainability is truly the goal?
We need to actually appreciate that the real estate market is not a fast-moving consumer goods. It is not an investment that you actually look into the short-term gains or quick flipping and whatnot. It is actually an asset class that is for the housing of people, providing accommodation facilities or facilities for people to do business. So it is a growth that is dependent on the overall community and the economic activities that's actually within that community. So looking at it as a short-term play, we need to actually look it into the long-term gain. It is actually what real estate investment is actually all about. Another thing is we need to also look at the quality of the products rather than just sheer numbers. And profit margins would always be a main concern for developers because they are business entities themselves. But looking at the capacity or even the surety of that development being completed, build then sell model, we need to actually look into how to make it happen to ensure that the properties are secured as a something that's going to be completed for those who actually make the purchases. So together, all this, we need to also look into the real estate market as an inclusive market for both the B40 and N40 as well as the T20. So this is actually going to actually make the whole community as a whole to thrive so that we can actually all grow sustainably into the future.